Hello, guys. Welcome to the Staytiny podcast. But in this segment of our podcast, we're calling this in other news,
Mhm.
where weekly we just talk about other stuff that me and Knobbe find interesting. And yeah,
Really, whatever. I mean, it's
yeah,
in other news.
in other news.
Funny.
It's in today's and other news episode, we are going to be reading each other the most craziest, creepiest Reddit
Most
stories.
shocking. Yeah.
Most shocking. Oh, I like that. Alrighty. Who wants to start us off in our journey today?
In our journey to hell. Do you want to?
Yeah. Speaking of hell,
So, actually, before we get into it, neither of us have read each other's stuff. So,
yeah,
these are all raw reactions, okay? I have no idea what she has. She has no idea what I have. So, it's all raw reactions, okay?
all our reactions. Alrighty. But speaking of hell, it gets right
Oh.
off into my story, which is a very NSFW. So,
If you don't know what NSFW is, it's not safe for work.
yep. So, this is called Tinder Date with the Devil's Daughter. Let's get into it. I was just fresh off a major split up when some friends of mine encouraged me to use Tinder. After witnessing my friend use it himself, I decided to give it a go. What could go wrong? I thought. I spent hours on end swiping and swiping. Some matched, some didn't. It was fun. And then swiped Linda, and we matched. A decision I ended up regretting. We spoke for a few weeks on and off and got to know each other. She seemed like a nice enough girl. She was a bit older than me, yet looked a whole lot younger. She wasn't fussed about going out for a meal or a cinema trip or anything traditionally romantic, so we arranged to meet up at a bar instead. At first glance, she was barely recognizable from her profile picture. She looked a lot older and clearly gained a lot of weight. Already, the first red flag was starting to show. That's not the major problem, though. We got our drinks and got into some good conversations. We seemed to have a lot in common, maybe too much. In my instincts, I had the impression that she's perhaps did some research on me somehow and was trying her best to impress me. There came a point of awkward silence. I thought of something to say to kind of break the silence, but she already beat me to it. Let's talk about sex, she said. I was too stunned to get my head around how forward and straight to the point she was. She asked me about my sex life and what stuff I got up to with my previous partners. We exchanged our stories, to be honest. Mine didn't seem half exciting as her dramatic ones, so I just made up stuff. I never felt comfortable talking about this to someone on a first date. It was at this point she would reveal something to me that made me sick from the pit of my stomach. She told me that she liked bondage and that she liked to torture and abuse people just for fun. One story in particular, she told me that she had tricked a man into getting into bed with her and how shocked he was to lie down on a bed full of thumbtacks. At this point, I was quickly slurping my drink and getting my excuses ready to leave. Then she told me her final story. She told me that the only week before meeting me, she met a man from Tinder, got him to take her to his own flat. She said she was well prepared and had a bag full of items in her car, bondage tools. Then, to my horror, she told me that she had him wrapped up in cling film over and over again from head to toe until he was almost mummified, and then just left him there on his own in the flat and abandoned him. She laughed as she impersonated his mumbles and his pleas for help. He's probably dead by now, she said, chuckling as she sipped
Oh.
a drink. At this point, I decided to leave. There was no point in staying. I didn't even want to question if this was a joke or not. I just got up and left. She attempted to kiss me, but I swerved out of her way. I just got up and left as soon as I could. Safe to say, I never met her again and hope I never will.
That can't be fucking real. No fucking way. That seems so like, BDSM, whatever. A lot of people like that. So it seemed normal. But then you get to the part where like the cling wrap, and I was like, okay, okay. And then the part where it's like mummified and he's probably dead by now. What the fuck?
I don't, that's
Oh
like when
my
it got to
God.
when I read it and it got to the cling wrap, if anybody has seen the show Dexter, it was on Showtime like a while back, but that's what he would do to his victims was is that he would clean grab them, but he would have clean grab on the table and then he would kill them. And like, yeah, that's immediately what I thought of.
I'm just I don't know what to think. That's that's fucking crazy. She
You
literally
said
committed a she
a
literally
crime.
murdered someone. Yeah.
Yeah. And
She's
she was
like
just
she's like
like,
he's probably dead now.
yeah, he's
Oh,
he's dead.
I would report her straight to the cops. Like, I'm sorry. What?
Apparently
Oh
this
my
man just got
gosh.
up and left.
I mean, I would have too. God.
It's like he was like, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Holy fuck.
Alrighty.
Next story, I guess. Oh my gosh. Whew.
Alrighty. So here's the next one. It's called My Crazy Friend Ended Up Becoming a Murderer. So today has been a particularly slow day at work, and I've been killing time reading these stories. Maybe enough time has passed and I can share mine. I had this friend who was really into the occult. Unfortunately, I was the one who got him turned on to it. We had a mutual appreciation of the paranormal and all things weird, so I thought the subject would interest him. He started going deep into the subject to the point where he wouldn't talk about anything else. He would actually interrupt a conversation and force the subject back to occult matters. Rude, but sometimes people go through phases where their interest is all they want to talk about. It was mostly forgivable offense. I think I should mention that this particular friend didn't have a very large friend circle. His depression and introverted nature kept him inside a lot. He didn't have the best luck in relationships with women. His world was kind of small. And I did enjoy hanging out with him, so I did my best to be a good friend. I didn't want to just brush him off because he was acting a little weirder than normal. Honestly, for the longest time, he was a totally normal guy. We chat and play games together on the PlayStation. Sometimes we would go see movies with my boyfriend accompanying us. We all hung out at the park. We went swimming. Overall, we had a good time hanging out. Things start to go downhill when he started to smoke DMT. Personally, I think psychedelics are amazing tools that can offer insight into your life, but they should be treated with respect. My friend got to the point where he was making it himself. Apparently, a pretty easy thing to do after a meager amount of research, and he was smoking it daily, multiple times a day. For those who aren't familiar with the substance, when you smoke it, you get transported to a different world, an entirely new plane of existence. Your body and yourself doesn't exist anymore. You're just exploring this alternate reality dreamscape. My personal experience with it led me to seeing a dragon once in this kaleidoscope of cornucopia. Don't get on to me for that word. I can't. People see all kinds of different things there. Imagine what that does to a person when they're smoking it 30 times plus a day. He started telling me things like he was the reincarnated Osiris. He said he was seeing Egyptian hieroglyphs all over the place in waking life. Apparently, he had an hour-long conversation with entities in his bedroom, even when he wasn't smoking DMT. Of course, I was very alarmed to hear all of this, and I told him he needed to take a serious break. No drugs at all for a few months so he can find solid footing in reality again. At this point, I was still hanging out with him because he obviously needed some help. And like I said before, he didn't have a lot of friends that could give him that. He was also the black sheep of the family. So I knew he wasn't getting any kind of support from them. He was really close to his sister, and I did reach out to her on Facebook to express my concerns. I pushed her to talk to him and getting some psychiatric help because he was slipping past the point of no return. And I'm not really sure if she took my messages seriously since we really didn't know each other. Plus, she is at least 6 years younger than us and possibly didn't grasp how serious the situation was becoming. In any case, I'll jump forward now to the part where things start to get really creepy. My boyfriend had made arrangements to hang out with a friend at the park. I really didn't want to go because I felt like I needed a break from him and his nonsensical ranting. I just couldn't deal with it on that particular day. My boyfriend said he wasn't all that bad, and we went anyway. We got to the park and he's his usual self, ranting about Egypt and made up gods that only he knew the truth about, etc. He also had this large hunting knife that he kept fiddling with the whole time we were on a walk. He told us that he had been using it in ceremonial magic and that it helped to banish negative thoughts. It made me extremely uneasy. He would do this thing where he would take the knife and made stabbing noises near his heart or head, like he was mock stabbing himself, all while holding a conversation with me or my boyfriend. I think we were really both on edge and didn't know what to say or do about it. I tried to distract him from doing it by bringing up other subjects that might interest him, but he kept on with his ritual. Keep in mind, we were walking on a trail, so it wasn't like we could just say goodbye then and there. We had to walk back to our car and drop him off at his car. My boyfriend had the bright idea that we could get some lunch after our walk, even though I was doing my best to give him that look that said, "No, you crazy fuck. Why do you think I want to spend any more time with this nut?" But it must have not been very effective, or my boyfriend was ignoring it. Not sure. Either way, we ended up getting in the car to go get lunch. In the car I was driving, my boyfriend was in the passenger seat and our weirdo friend was in the back. As we're heading through a busy part of town where all the shopping and restaurants are, I hear the distinctive sound of a belt buckle coming undone. Then I hear the worst sound imaginable. I peek back out of the corner of my eye, and my suspicions were confirmed. This crazy fucker was full on jacking off in our back seat. I mean, pants down, all the way down, bare ass on the seat, beating it so hard like he was wanting to rip it off. Instantly, I felt sick to my stomach. All the nervous energy I had throughout the day popped in my head. I was trying not to shake and trying to ignore it and drive through heavy traffic. I kind of had a freeze response, I guess. The whole time I kept thinking about that huge knife he had in his pocket, and obviously he was completely off his rocker now. I was afraid to say anything or confront him because I didn't know how he was going to react. This part is nuts. My boyfriend didn't fucking seem to notice, and the whole time he kept rambling on about God knows what. I couldn't listen because my thoughts were 100% focused on driving, trying to act like I didn't know what was going on in my back seat. We got to the restaurant, and my boyfriend runs inside to grab food. I'm left alone in the car with quotation marks, our friend. And I try to act like I'm browsing on my phone when really I'm watching and listening as hard as I can. We don't talk. My boyfriend gets back and I complain that I'm tired. It's been a long day. Let's drop him off, etc. So I drop us back off to our friend's car and he doesn't get out of our vehicle. He just sits there. I have to get a bit rude and ask him to please get out and go home. He gets out of our car and walks over to his passenger side. I started to get really scared and I suspected the worst. He pulled a gun out of some kind of bag he had on the seat and just walks over to our car with it. I don't know why the fuck I did this, but I was so pissed. I just got out of my car, walked right up to him. I was maybe 3 feet away and I could see it was a loaded 9 millimeter. I kept asking him over and over, "What are you doing?" Because apparently it's all my brain could think to do. I told him to get in his car and go home. He never said anything during this whole time, just kind of cried and had this wild look in his eyes. For whatever reason, he got back in his car and drove off. I told my boyfriend, obviously, we are never hanging out with him again, that I didn't even want to talk to him anymore. No contact. Not a few months pass. He occasionally misses me through the PlayStation or text my phone. He says a lot of random stuff and I just ignore it. Turns out he moved down to Tennessee near Nashville. I don't know why. He had a roommate. I think the girlfriend lived there. I'm not really sure about the situation. I think maybe he's turning his life around and getting a fresh start down there. I think it's best to cut all contact and let him regroup. I'm not interested in any kind of friendship with him, and I know he needed help beyond what I could offer. Again, I reached out to his sister and let her know that he had a gun. She managed to get it from him somehow, but it did little good in the end. I get a call around 11 p.m. one night that wakes me up. It's a man claiming he's a detective down in Gallatin, Tennessee, and my heart skips a beat. I start sweating and I immediately ask what happened. Apparently, my former friend stabbed someone to death on Halloween Day. I don't know all the details, and the articles about it are kind of sparse. The whole thing is really surreal, and I'm just left feeling like I'm lucky that I didn't get shot last summer.
That was a very long story that I feel like that like, OP could have like
Shortened.
shortened it like so much.
I know.
There was so much information that I was getting tired of hearing it, but I mean, damn, don't do drugs, kids. Don't
Yeah.
don't do them or you'll turn out like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. Not much of a palate cleanser from the first one, I will say.
Yeah. Anyway,
What else we got?
this one is very lighthearted. You'll
Okay.
like this one.
Okay.
Audrey, I know you sneak into my room at night. Audrey, we found you. You were half dead and 100% feral. I'm glad you grew out of attacking everyone. Only took 4 years. I'm glad you've learned to allow the occasional family friend to pet your head. Only the head anywhere else and you bite. That took 8 years. I've accepted that you really don't like humans and are happy just doing your own thing. But can I tell you a secret? I know you come into my room at night and snuggle me. You're not exactly sly. First of all, you weigh like 20 pounds. You're a fat cat, so I can feel you when you walk all over me. Also, girl, you purr like a freight train when you're happy, and you tend to drool on my face when you stare at me. You always come in when you think I'm asleep and bail when I start to wake up. You're not as sly as you think, but that's okay. I love you very much, and it makes me happy you show me love in your own special way.
The beginning of it, you said lighthearted and you started speaking, and I was like, this is not lighthearted. What are you talking about?
How to get you? How
But
to get you?
all right.
Alrighty. And then here's my next story. I was in a higher end department store today, rhymes with Looming Tales, and happened to end up next to two teenaged girls while shopping. One of the girls had picked out a pair of very expensive boots, and they were both fawning over them. Second girl must have looked at a price tag and asked Boots girls if she was really going to spend that much on boots. Girl with Boots said something along the lines, "It's fine, I have my dad's credit card. I'm not paying," which instantly caught my attention because that's not her card. I've told my son multiple times he's never allowed to use my card. So I'm interested to see how this girl thinks she's going to get away with fraud, but had split up from the girls at this point because they had found something else. We end up at the same register, me behind, and I see her total hit well over 4 digits. The girl's about to swipe her card when I decide that I can't let her get away with something like this, and someone has to parent this kid if no one else will. I tell cashier that isn't her card but her father's, and I'm not sure she has permission. Girl in front turned and glared at me, giving me possibly the dirtiest look I've ever seen. I swear this girl was going to throw a tantrum right there, and I don't think she was ever told no. Girl tells cashier her father gave her the card to shop with because it's the store's credit card, and it gives him points. And now that I've pointed it out, it wasn't hers. Cashier tells her she can't use that card. Girls tries to show ID to prove that they have the same last name. Yeah, that would help. And I tell her it's still fraud. Girl says it's not fraud because she has permission and tells me to mind my own business. I tell her that it is my business, that she's doing something illegal. She needs to pay with her own card, or I call the cops. Girl's pissed now, and people are glaring at me. She uses her own card and leaves crying. Cashier looks mad at me, and I tell my husband when I get home, only for him to agree that I was in the wrong, which I totally agree with that
Yeah.
because as somebody that works in retail, people come in all the time using their parents' card to pay for something because they don't have the cash to do so.
Yeah.
So,
They're also like daddy's little girl, daddy's money.
but here is my final story. It's called Make Sure to Always Lock Your Doors.
Fuck.
23-year-old guy here. I live in a pretty safe neighborhood and usually always locks my door. Last night, apparently I didn't. It was not too long after I'd taken my dogs out for the last time I was turning off the TV and lights when one of my dogs started growling. Not too weird since he sometimes does that when people walk by the house. He only does it to certain people, not everyone. I didn't hear the front door open and someone walk in. My dog then started barking. My other dog, who loves all people, came running from the other room to greet our guest. At the same time, I was reacting to what was happening and went, "What the fuck? Who are you?" Standing in the hall was a guy in his mid to late 20s. He was skinny and tall. Oh, wait, I don't think I'm in the right place. He genuinely seemed confused. I replied with, "Hell no, you aren't. Please get out." He apologized and said he was coming to hang out with a friend and just accidentally went to the wrong place. Asked him what house he was looking for, and he said a number that was just a couple numbers off from mine. He apologized again and left. He seemed kind and non threatening, but I was still kind of spooked. The morning this morning I was ready to laugh the whole thing off. I was planning on telling my neighbor, a couple in their 30s, what happened. I don't know them all too well, but we have talked before. Luckily, I caught with one of them when I was taking my dogs out. I didn't want to come off like I was mad or scared what happened, so I casually said, "I'm sure he told you about it, but your friend paid me a surprise visit last night." My friend gave me this look and said, "What are you talking about?" "Your friend. He walked into my place last night thinking it was your place." My neighbor was quiet for a second and said, "I don't want to alarm you, but I have no idea what you're talking about. We didn't have a friend over last night."
No, was that the end of the story?
Yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah,
I always
man.
lock my door. Every time I get in my car, anything, I just always lock my door.
I do too. Like, bro, go fuck away.
Always lock it.
So, what you got for me, Kenobi?
First one, this one's actually kind of an older one. So, are you ready for it? All right.
Yeah.
I distanced myself from my boyfriend because he cried in front of me. I have been dating my boyfriend for 8 months now. I am the type of woman who looks into dating a tall, muscular, and white or tan guys who treat me nicely, gives me the attention I need, and makes me feel safe around him. My boyfriend fits all these traits, or at least I thought so. Almost a month ago, my boyfriend cried in front of me for the first time. The reason for this was because his mom had to go to the hospital urgently as she was feeling really sick. She's fine now, don't worry. I'm not saying it's not normal to cry when something bad happens to your loved ones, but seeing him break down and cry ruined the image I had of him, and I'll confess that made me distant myself from him. My boyfriend realized that I'm acting cold with him, and he asked me numerous times if he did anything wrong. I still didn't confess to him, and I really don't want this relationship to end, but if this feeling persists, I might have to open up to him and end things. I honestly don't know what to do.
What?
So
What?
basically,
She really just said, "You fucking cried in front of me." She's like, "I'm out."
she
Just
said, "You can't cry." You can't be a baby.
What was that a Fergie song? Big Girls Don't Cry. She's like, real men don't cry. Like, fuck out of here, bitch.
All right, ready for the next one?
Hit me with it.
All right. My roommate got kicked out because I framed her. I, 24 male, have a major stealing problem. I don't even know where to begin, but I've basically been stealing stuff since kindergarten. Friends, family, workplaces, coworkers, stores, you name it. This past summer, I kind of went crazy on a stealing spree. I currently live with my girlfriend, her sister, and our roommate Julia. Julia had a girlfriend, Autumn, but they've broken up now and Autumn has since moved out. I met my girlfriend during my college orientation along with Julia. Girlfriend's sister also attended the same school, so naturally, we all became friends and started renting a small house together. Anyway, we've all been living together for about 4 years now, and I haven't really stolen too much from them. Occasionally, small amounts of cash or sometimes weed until this past summer when I was laid off from my job of 5 years. Long story short, I stole roughly $500 combined from my girlfriend, her sister, and Julia. My girlfriend is a waitress and makes tips, so it's easy to take cash from her. My girlfriend would never expect it to be me, so naturally, I blamed it on Autumn, Julia's now ex girlfriend.
What?
Julia's had a bunch of girlfriends over the past couple years, and they're always shady AF. None of us really liked Autumn anyway because she was really messy and didn't pick up after herself. She was often late on rent without communication, and she was just a shitty roommate in general. Anyway, this one day, I stole a little too much money at once from Julia's wallet, and Julia confronted all of us. We all denied it and said we all had money missing. I had taken from everyone but Autumn. She didn't have anything to take. And so we all narrowed it down to Autumn. So we told our landlord about it. We rent from a super chill old lady, and she basically threatened to kick Autumn out. Autumn wasn't technically on the lease. She moved in the middle of the lease and never had a written agreement, just paid a chunk of rent to the landlord. The day Autumn left, she was sobbing and bawling that she would never do anything like this, and she loves us all. This all went down in late June. Since then, Autumn and Julia have broken up, and Julia's on to the next girl. I still feel horrible about it. So yeah, don't steal.
See, back in, like ancient times, they just cut your fucking hands off. They was like, bitch, you gonna steal? Chop, chop,
What?
chop, chop. Like Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen.
Mm, all right. This is the one. Am I the asshole that I have? Am I the asshole for asking my daughter questions to verify whether she was really telling the truth about being bullied at school? I, 38 male, have a daughter, 10 female. She's a really nice girl, but she always acted a little repulsed by boys, but she is friends with one boy. However, that boy is the only boy in her friend group. She would always say things like the boys in her class are dirty. School is out right now, but will be starting next month, and I was talking to her about whether she's looking forward going back. She said she likes her teachers and class but prefers summer and claimed that the boys made fun of her and that it made her sad. I have always tried to teach her to look out for bias in case she only notices it when the boys do dirty things and ignores it when girls do them. I was obviously concerned and asked her if she ever told her teacher about it, and she said no, because it happens when teachers are not looking and she does not want to get in trouble for lying. So I asked her follow up questions about what they did, and she mentioned many things like putting snot in her hair, mocking how she dresses. She likes girly clothes, but I'm sure many other girls in her class do that too. This seemed almost outrageous, and I know kids like to omit the other side of the story, so given her views on boys, I was suspecting maybe she was also making fun of them. I asked her if she had done anything to them first, and she denied it, and if she was sure they were really being mean or just having some fun and being friendly. She got upset and ran off and accused me of not believing her, and now I feel like an asshole. I never said I don't believe her. I just wanted to be sure and try to gather the other side of the story since I assume there was a reason she would not tell her teachers. She has never come back with bruises or anything, but sometimes has come back with footprints on her dress, which I just assumed were from play, and once had gum and glue in her hair. My wife is also upset at me and wants to speak to the school, but I do not want to embarrass myself in case she started it or something. I hate that last sentence. I do not want to embarrass myself in case she started it.
It doesn't matter if she started it.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a fucking teaching moment. Uh,
So, yeah, dude, you are the asshole.
This is why I have anger issues. Because people like that, I just want to beat the fuck out of them.
Oh yeah. I mean, throw hands, punch the shit out of them.
I mean, I like throwing cans, period. But
I mean, you're just a bad parent at that point. Like, come on.
exactly,
Like
like
she's already come home with footprints on her dress, gum and glue in her hair, and you're like, are you sure they believe
like
you?
the evidence is right there, like a
I
whole
know.
ass footprint.
Yeah.
Fucking Law and Order that shit.
I'm gonna say trigger warning for the last two stories that I have, especially for the last one. So even before the last one, I'm gonna do another trigger warning because this first one, it just really gross. Okay, just really gross. I, 25 male, accidentally pooped on my girlfriend's face. So, to preface this, my girlfriend and I are very comfortable around each other. We've been dating about 4 years and honestly have probably gotten a little too comfortable, hence this accident. So, basically, we enjoy farting around each other on occasion. I strongly believe fart contests are a highly healthy part of any long term relationship. Everyone farts. Why hide it? So every once in a while, after I get out of the shower, I'll let out a nice wet cheek flapper around my girlfriend. Usually gets a good chuckle out of us both. Last night, I was feeling extra devilish, so I decided that I would sneak up on my girlfriend after my shower and rip a nice one directly into her face. Well, this turned out to be a very bad decision because I proceeded to violently spray chunks of fecal matter all over my girlfriend's face as she lay innocently in bed getting ready to doze off. I turned around slowly in horror, realizing what I had done as she proceeded to scream and curse. I immediately leapt up and ran to the shower, and afterwards decided she needed to be alone and went back to her place for the night. I kept trying to call and text her and apologize, but she hasn't responded. So basically, what I'm asking is, did I ruin the relationship? Is this something we can recover from? And should we break up? Thanks in advance. Hold on, we have two updates, okay? First update. So she finally answered my calls and we had a really long talk. I apologized and made it clear to her that my intentions were not to poop all over her face, but only to fart, which I also realize now is not cool. Nevertheless, she said she doesn't think she could ever be attracted to me after experiencing that, which I understand, so we are going to go our separate ways. This hurts because she was my first girlfriend. She took my virginity, she was everything to me, and I literally shit all over her. This is going to take a while to come back from. I'm not going to concede that farts aren't funny though. They totally are, and I'll keep farting in my future relationships, albeit to a lesser degree. Update 2. I feel like I need to address a few things here. Some people are insulting me and saying that I violated her. Let's be clear. My girlfriend loved to fart on me too. She'd be sitting in my lap and let one out, or we'd be spooning and she'd pass gas. Hell, one time we were even having sex and she let loose right there on my meat. This isn't to say I should have done what I did, but people need to understand this thing I did wasn't completely unwarranted. We were used to laying farts on one another quite often. It's just that this time, unfortunately, it was more than a fart, and I have paid for that. But you can save the judgments and the calls for me to grow up. I pay my taxes and can do what I please with my flatulence.
Okay, farting on somebody's dick in their lap is completely different than sticking your whole ass fucking ass
Bare ass, mind you.
in somebody's face and farting. That is where you draw the line. Okay, like, yeah, when you're cuddling in bed and shit like that, yeah, that's fine. But this is your whole bare ass in somebody's face.
Yeah.
As soon as you would have farted in my face, that is immediate. Like, I'm beating the fuck out of you. Would I go to jail for battery and assault? Yes. But you violated me by putting your bare ass, which is probably not clean, even though you just got out of the shower. But men have hairy assholes unless you take care of your asshole. But you violated this poor woman. She's now probably traumatized for the rest of her relationship because anytime somebody just, gets near her with an ass, she's going to scream and be like, don't shit on me. You fucking ruined her for the next person and the person after that.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, you are the fucking asshole. And I hope you get your fucking karma. I hope the next bitch you're with shits all over you. That story pissed me off.
Then I don't know if you're ready for this last one. And again,
Oh,
trigger warning for this one. This one's worse than the other one, in my opinion.
oh my,
The
oh,
whole time I read this, I was like, holy fuck. I almost thought about not reading it, but I thought I'm going to. So,
oh.
very, very much trigger warning. Okay. Would it be wrong for a non practicing necrophiliac to be a mortician?
Oh, what?
I, 24 non binary, am a non practicing necrophiliac. And to be clear, I don't plan on changing that or committing any crimes. Would it be unethical for me to become a mortician? I am a hyperfixation. I have a hyperfixation with death and the morbid, as many morticians do. Death is a big part of my life. I drive a hearse, I collect taxidermy, I write and do art related to death and the undead. I'm really into the death positive movement. I find death extremely poetic and romantic. I'd consider myself a necro romantic more than anything, but a small part of my fixation is sexual. I went to school for psychology, and while I find it fascinating, I don't find the field rewarding, so I've been thinking about going back to school for mortuary science or finding a related job. My girlfriend of 11 years is fully comfortable with my necrophilia, and we role play it in the bedroom somewhat regularly. However, she thinks that me being a mortician would be a bad idea and that it would be disrespectful even if I don't act on my sexual fantasies. I don't see why. I see it the same as if I were a doctor who found a patient physically attractive but had to do physical exams. Thoughts and feelings in that situation are fine as long as you're professional and don't treat them any differently. And that's how I feel about mortuary practice. All of my friends know I'm a necrophiliac and know I have a fascination and love for death, and they often tell me I should be a mortician. I want to go into this field because I generally do think it would be rewarding in a non sexual way. Taking care of the dead would be very rewarding emotionally, and I think it would even help me personally work through some of my fears of dying. But I would be lying if I said the dead bodies don't arouse me. They definitely do, but I'm a nuanced person, and despite feeling some sort of way, I also don't find it hard to ignore those feelings. It's like being attracted to anyone. I wouldn't rape somebody no matter how sexually attracted I am to them. For the record, though, I do feel like it's pretty important to mention that I'm not entirely decided on if I believe the actual practice of necrophilia is inherently wrong. I don't believe in the afterlife, and even if I did, their souls have moved on by now, so I feel like it wouldn't be hurting anyone. But regardless, that's my personal view. I recognize that society has decided that this isn't right, and that most people wouldn't consent to their body or their loved ones' bodies being involved in sexual activity. I'm a little autistic, so that means I don't understand a lot of social conventions, but it also means I find it really easy to resist temptation and follow rules. A couple other things I should mention: this isn't the only taboo fetish I have, just the most prevalent one. I've battled with a porn addiction in the past and have a myriad of mental disorders and trauma. I recognize a normal person wouldn't have this fetish and that I'm not normal or mentally healthy, but I also wouldn't say I'm mentally unstable or a bad person. Edit. Some of you are really off base. I'm not foaming at the mouth at the thought of having sex with a corpse, and like I'd be fighting myself every day not to do it. I know I won't the same way I know I wouldn't take advantage of anyone in a vulnerable situation. You can believe what you want, but no matter the circumstances, I wouldn't have sex with a corpse that didn't give consent while alive. The idea bothers me too much to even have sexual feelings in that situation. I don't want to go into the mortuary field to get anything sexual out of it. Otherwise, I wouldn't care to post this question on Reddit. I want to help and take care of people's bodies in a meaningful, respectful way. And the most selfish thing I'd hope to get out of it is feeling emotionally rewarded and working through my own hangups with death. As for the inherently wrong thing, I don't think necrophilia is a victimless crime. What I meant was that in a theoretical sense, I'm on the fence. As I said in a reply comment, if I were to die as a lesbian, I wouldn't consent to a man messing with my corpse, but I'd be dead and gone and not feel anything, so do I really care? I don't know. I don't get why the average person cares to the extent that they do, but that doesn't matter. I'm more than happy to respect other people's last wishes, even if I don't understand them or would personally feel the way they do. That's basic human decency and what a mortician's job is.
This person I would beat up on sight. I don't give a fuck if they're autistic, if they're not. You cannot, this may sound mean, but you, as somebody that does have mental illnesses and probably does have autism, it doesn't matter if you don't like, just don't use your autism as
Excuse.
as an excuse. What you're doing is wrong anyway. It doesn't matter if they're dead or not. As somebody that actually believes in the paranormal, we don't really know if they're gone.
Yeah.
Like, you might think, oh, their soul's there. That could not it I have seen my grandmother dead.
I've seen my grandma
and
dead.
and like, and when I saw her dead, if I cry, just
It's
it's
okay.
when saw her dead, I could I felt this cold feeling around me when I saw her laying there. I just kept feeling this cold feeling that she was hugging me. But knowing that if I sent her to the morgue and I somehow found out that this person was a necrophiliac and could possibly do something to my grandmother,
It's wrong. It's wrong,
I
period. No matter if you think they are gone or whatever, it's just wrong, period, because you're violating someone. Even if for some reason they
even
consented
if
before they died, that's violating someone.
that, no matter if they can, how is somebody going to consent to their body being sexually touched and fucked?
Yeah.
Because you don't know this person. When you go into being a mortician, you don't know these people.
Yeah.
You don't know when you're going to die. I didn't know when my grandma was going to die. So how the fuck is this person going to give consent before they die?
Yep.
It's
I have
not
no
like
fucking clue.
it's not like they're going to call the fucking morgue and be like, "Hey, whoever's the mortician there, I give them perfectly good consent in violating my body because they don't know when they're going to fucking die."
It just doesn't make sense. His
Their
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 reasoning doesn't make sense on
their
it.
logic doesn't make fucking sense.
This got a little heavy, which we didn't mean for it to. So if anyone out there is a little triggered by all of this, we're sorry. But I hope, I don't know, maybe some people learned something. Maybe they learned, if you're, a necrophiliac and you're thinking about being a mortician, don't be a mortician.
Just
Just
don't
don't.
fucking do it,
Yeah, just don't.
because you'll encounter people like me that if they, find
Slap a
out
bitch.
that you violated my deceased grandmother, that it's going to be hands on. Anyway, Stray Kids
Well,
released a new music video today.
yeah. And don't forget, Kim
It's
Tae-young's album is gonna come out in September.
Yeah.
Hey.
So
And
stream Layover
yes,
pre-ad,
yes.
and also to stream Stray Kids' new music video. It's Super Bowl, which is the Japanese version, and it's glorious. The men look extremely, extremely good.
hmm And stream Bouncy. I mean, it's been a couple months, but hey, stream it, okay? Watch Wanties, watch their show, okay? Watch that, stream that.
Yeah,
Well, next week's episode won't be as deep as this one. We promise. We won't be as deep next episodes.
nope. And
More lighthearted.
yeah, next episode will be more lighthearted.
And that's it. That's all we
And then
got for the first installment of In Other News.
keep listening to, you know,
We hope you guys have liked it so far. To anyone who's watching, Sorry if there's any background noise or the mics sound off or, we're awkward.
This is like our first time doing it, but we're extremely, extremely excited to be doing this podcast with one another and just starting this
Yep.
podcast journey at all. So please enjoy us in our journey.
And guess what? First week down.
Yep,
First week down.
many more to go. And I don't know if we've said this in earlier episodes. We are, we're mostly going to be about Stray Kids and ATs, but obviously we're going to be talking about other K-pop groups. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. See all you cool cats later.
Peace out, bitches.
Bye.
Bye.